So here we are. We're going to do our burn. And go. We're going to do a 3-second burn here. And watch to see that we stay on our maneuver node. Okay. Then I'm going to F5 it, X out, and we actually achieved the 0.4, but I am going to just tap it a little bit just to see if I can walk that in a little bit. Now, I'm walking it in just a little bit. Oh, yeah. Okay, I had it at 0.1. It's back up to 0.2. I'm still going to keep that. So I'm F5 in that. Okay, so then add maneuver. How much does it take to get that 111 killed? So negative 111. Right there. See that? If I burnt right there, it's actually going to separate it at 8.8. But watch this. I can just change where I burn, and that's going to move it closer. And I'm just going to change where it burns. You know, this is a little bit overkill. You walk it in like once you get over to here, you just look at it and you walk it in like I showed you on the last Rendezvous tutorial. But this is just me trying to be precise and exact, and I might not necessarily do the maneuver exactly the way it is, but it at least will give me an idea of when to burn and by how much. So it gets me, and I'm still going to be 51 meters per second off. So I might want to increase. Actually, that's making the meters per second go up. So I might want to decrease. No, that's making it go up. Maybe I need to change this. Ooh, now that is doing a lot for us, right? You see how that, every time I click over here, it goes down? Ooh, and too much. So I'll bring it down a magnitude. Right. So we got 120 meters per second. So we're going to need a 10.5 second burn to rendezvous with the thruster weight ratio and everything. So I'm going to F5. And I'm gonna try just doing the maneuver and see how that works out for us. See if it works out. If it doesn't, we'll probably F5 when we're like over here, and we'll perform the maneuver. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just come back to here and try again, right? That's the other thing too. Is like you know, there have been playthroughs that I've played the game where I won't F5 if Valentina forgot her parachutes and I went into the atmosphere and didn't work out, then she died. And so before I went into the atmosphere, I would have to consider that. That is a legitimate way to play the game. Number one, if you're just a beginner and you're learning, that's not the way I would suggest. That's not the way to learn how to play the game, right? That's for somebody that knows the mechanics of the game, knows how to play it, and is looking to up the challenge a little bit. So don't be afraid to F5 and revert back and try again until you get it right, because that's how you're going to learn. If you know, even in real life, though, it's a lot of times more costly than just pressing F9. Learning from mistakes are only mistakes, or failures are only failures if you fail to learn from them. And that's the best way to actually teach your kids too. If you give them space to fail, where they're not going to have such dire consequences, they're allowed to fail, learn from those mistakes, and that doesn't mean that you don't let your kids suffer consequences, but you know, particularly with math and like engineering and stuff, it's an iterative process. You build something, you test it out. If it fails, great. show us, as long as you were tracking the data, look at the data. Why did it fail? What can we do to fix it on the next iteration? Then you do it again. You test it again. And if it failed again, why did it fail? It's what they did to get SpaceX up and running. It's not like every rocket SpaceX has ever sent up into space has accomplished its mission. It's not like they landed on that barge the first time they tried to land on it. It's an iterative process. So the same thing goes for here. And that's why Kerbal Space Program, it's more than just a rocket sim in the sense that you're simulating like orbital mechanics and learning about math and stuff like that. But you're also literally learning how to do the scientific method and how to engineer something. I mean, yeah, it's very derpy, and this would never. A lot of the things that happen wouldn't happen in real life, but the way you're learning and the way you are, that the process that you're going through, is very much a real process. And I'm going to go ahead and come in here. You saw as I'm zooming in, there is my target. Now, many, including myself, would be tempted to go ahead and start moving the retrograde marker onto the retrograde target marker and start walking it in now. But because of orbital mechanics, we're not going to do that. We're just simply going to try. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, because this is actually the first time I've done it in this method. We're just going to try and see if the maneuver that I set up will work. See how that works out. So I'm F5ing now. So if I mess this up, no big deal. I'm just going to come back and try it again the way I know. Okay? And then we're going to go ahead and fast forward to our burn. Set a minute out, so I'm just a minute and a half out, so I'm going up to 50 and then coming back down to 5. 30 seconds out. 15 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and slow down. Make sure my attitude is right. It's at 2.2, so it's right in, it just loaded. It's in loading range. It's a term you'd only hear in Kerbal Space Program, or in a video game at the least. Okay, 10 seconds. 9. And we are really having a hard time. Game time is taking a lot longer than real time. Yeah, and see, we're coming up on it quick. This is basically the equivalent of a suicide burn, right? Alright, I might try and burn a little bit early, so when it gets to like 0.7 instead of 0.0, I'm going to go ahead and burn. Always walk it in. I'm at max thrust here. The game is just lagging quite a bit. And there it goes, just kind of going by us. We can wave. And we're actually slowing down pretty good. Our target is only 7 meters per second off. So I'm gonna stop worrying about that maneuver, kill it off, go to my retrograde and burn some more. Alright, and so I have successfully just killed my velocity. I'm not, 0.5 meters per second, but I'm not moving to it or away from it or side by side or anything like that. I've matched my velocity. That worked out extremely well, actually, wouldn't you say, guys? I'm going to F5 this. That was great. If every rendezvous went that smoothly, man, that's the way it happens in real life because they do a lot of the planning, but man, it never happens this smoothly. I'm giving you all a false thing. Okay, so we're kind of moving away from it. It's increasing in speed, so we want to No, that's not. No, we want it to burn. We want to burn towards it. We still want to burn towards it, right? So, come over here, and I'm not even going to go towards that. I'm just going to go towards the target, right? And get a little bit closer. And I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna tap Shift. And try and bring those two reticules together. And so we're traveling at it about 3.5 meters per second, and now we're just going to do it the traditional walk-in, right? So I'm going to turn my craft around to be retrograde and not prograde. You know, when we start doing maneuvering thrusters, and we could have put them on this one if we wanted to, but for simplicity's sake, I did leave the default monopropellant in there and put some simple thrusters on there just for translation, but I decided not to do the full thing because we don't really need that until you're docking. I mean, it can help for rendezvous as well, but you don't need that, right? As long as you get close enough, then you get these guys out and they can fly around with their own little thrusters. Okay, I'm going to start slowing down here. Turn the sound back on since I'm not watching that video. Totally forgot about that. Okay, so I actually overdid it because I was worried about my sound, so I'm going to turn back around. Bye bye. We were actually still going closer. All right, so that is a rendezvous right there. We're close enough. So first, I'm going to go over to Valentina's vessel. Hey, Valentina, how you doing, girl? You chilling up here? What's your situation like? You still got plenty of supplies and stuff, which we're going to leave here. But I'm going to go ahead and EVA you and send you over to the new ship. Before we do, though, we want to right-click here and take data. And so we've taken all that data out so that we can take it with us to Kerbin. Now, where is my target? There's my target. Okay. So I'm going to change my camera to free so that she will... Oh, man. What's going on? Maybe not to free. Let's do it to orbital, maybe? No. I'm going to take R off and figure out my camera. Chase. Free. Okay. Man, I'm sorry for making everybody dizzy, including my own self. Now I gotta find my... Okay, there's my vessel. Okay. So there's my target. Turn R back on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And we're just gonna go towards it. Man, having that planet just spinning underneath you. And I don't even have the graphics on high, as you can tell. I mean, this is so crappy graphics, but it still just looks amazing. Imagine if I had, like, all the... You know, you can get some mods that put clouds, and you got the scatterer and all that stuff, which just makes things truly beautiful in a way that I cannot do with the current hardware I have. But even without all that extra, it's still just amazing to watch. At least in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you think I'm an idiot. I probably am. So you're probably right. Alright here. F. Rabbit. Alright. And board. Alright, so we got Valentina and we got all of her reports. So now we're gonna F5 this, because worst case scenario we go home, right? But we can also go to crew hatch with Bob Kerbin and EVA him, and he is gonna find where to go. There it is. Okay, so he's gonna go to the craft, and I gotta go change my camera again, so he'll actually do what I want him to do. There we go. And what he's going to do is he's going to just gather the scientific data from these onboard experiments. All right, looking good. So I'm using shift to go down, and I'm sorry, control to go down, shift to go up. And we are now close enough that we can open the doors and collect the data. Remove data. Okay. Now, another thing, if you want, not that I'm going to, but I do believe that if you have a high enough level as a scientist, or maybe it's just if you have a science lab or something, you can actually reset that experiment. So bringing a scientist along on a mission is very useful in that way. Try and get close enough to be able to collect the data. Remove data. Thank you very much. And I'm just being real easy going here. I don't want to throw this off way too much, and I don't want to bounce off. Just trying to get close enough to collect that data. Get on in there, Haas. Come on, Haas, you can do it. Come on, Bobby. You're starting to get away from me. There we go. Come on, Bobby. He's having a hard time getting that data. If I change my camera angle again. Woo! That didn't help, did it? Well, it helps if I'm not right-clicked on the rechargeable battery, but I'm right-clicked on the thing that I actually want to collect. That was probably my problem. Collect data. Remove data. Okay, now I do believe, and it's on this side over here, I have the thermometer. And so I got to come around. What are we doing? Alright, let's get on in there. There, take data. All right, and so what that's going to do is instead of transferring it through the antennas, what that's going to do, I got to find my spacecraft now. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? It's above, isn't it? Oh, crap. Where did it go? Oh, shit. Where is it? Is it below us? Oh, there it is. Okay. Phew, oh, I got scared there for a minute. Or, or. Yeah, so, if you remember, originally I wanted to bring two Kerbals to Minimus. I had originally tried to create a two Kerbal craft. And the reason I was going to do that um, was so that I could bring a scientist along. Whoa, Nelly. There we go. All right. Now, coming out here and doing this with this guy, I mean, this is a pretty complex maneuvering system, right? So, I remember the first time I tried to take a Kerbal out and put his thrusters on and just go where I wanted to go. It was hard. No doubt about it. Like, I got this down now because I've been doing it for so long, but man, the first time I came out, it was hard. And there's no tutorial that I can really give you to teach you how to maneuver like I just did. You're using the WASD keys, shift and control. And honestly, the only way to do that and do that well is to practice. So, F5 a lot and, try going back and forth between a craft. And, I don't like how the cameras mess things around and stuff, and it can be difficult. See, I just gathered all that information. Okay, so we're going to F5. And it can be difficult. And you just got to practice. And I can't tell you anything more than that sometimes. There's no substitute for just doing it and trying it until you get it right. Okay, so now we're going to go retrograde. Now that we got Val on here, we have that ability. And she's looking happy now that she's got parachutes on her craft. And Bill's looking, I don't know if that's scared or happy. I think he's happy. He's like, yeah, we got some science to go over when we get back to the Space Center. I'm all down with that. Good job, Val. All right, we get F5 one last time just to be safe. And then we are going to go ahead and just do a retro burn to get back into the atmosphere. And that's it. I'm just going 69. Actually, yeah. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to F5 this here so that if it wasn't enough or if it was too much, which is not too much, but if it wasn't enough, basically, or if I wanted to do something else or something messes up, I can come back to this point and try it again. And we have seen that can be helpful. That is a good, wise way to go about it. So. All right. So we have hit the atmosphere. Val is trying to get it back to retrograde for us. And, you know, my initial, what's it called? Gestalt, basically, my initial feeling, my gut, is to go ahead and just burn off the rest of this fuel. But you got to be careful because, well, I can do that a little bit. I don't want to have too shallow of a re-entry. That will actually hurt me. Now, I can do it to the point where I just have a, make sure that there's no way I'm skipping off of this atmosphere at this point. I'm coming in. And I betting I'm going to make it somewhere between this lake and this, right about here. And I'm thinking about halfway. So that's my guess where I'm coming. We'll see how I do. Because it's up here right now, but with the aerodynamics, it's got to bring that in quickly. And so what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to stage. Now, I staged in the direction that I'm going. That's not always smart. What I should have done is I should have put it up or down, doesn't matter which, and then staged, right? But, and also one of the things, you see how my electric charge is precipitously going down, particularly since I just lost my main battery, or my large battery, and now I'm just with my backup battery and my solar panels, and I don't think I'm in the sun right now, so that's bad. But, and, I could control this, and I might have to F9 it to be able to control this to where I'm in the sun, and so that's not a factor. But I just take it back to a stability assist, and then just keep it on the retrograde yourself. Instead of having it, it kind of defeats the purpose of having that retrograde button, right? But at the same time, you don't want it to kill your electric charge, so sometimes you just got to play the game the way the game is played, right? Okay, so I'm not F9ing or F5ing right now because I don't know if this is going to work out, so I'm going to leave it be and just fast forward. Okay, so I'm slowing down my time warp. I've done several re-entries, so, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm slowing my time warp for myself, if nothing else. And to just explain to you, see how I'm not going straight retrograde. I'm going to go a little bit above, and what that's hopefully going to do is that's going to create just the slightest bit of lift to just flatten out my trajectory a little bit. Even though I did what's the opposite of flattening? Sharpening, I guess. I sharpened my trajectory when I burned my engine, but now I want to flatten it back out, and that's why I didn't burn the whole thing, because if I burnt the whole thing, I just would have come right down and bam, hit. And that litho braking is bad for your health, so I don't recommend that. The only thing I'm really worried about, we're going slow enough that if anything, these solar panels, photovoltaic panels, might burn up and explode, but I'm not even worried about that. So I'm not really worried about entry burn. We're not coming back from the moon. We're just coming from super low Kerbin orbit, so it's not going to affect us too much with the heat. As long as you don't come in straight, you're good. Well, I think I've way overblown, because there's that lake I was talking about, and I was planning I was coming down right here. That is clearly not the case. So my my future as a fortune teller, as I read my fortune to myself about this, is not looking great. I don't think I'm going to be a fortune teller in the future. At least not a good one. Now you notice my critical temperature was starting to get up in the 80s for some of these, I think, photovoltaics. because I was doing time warp. And so I'm coming out of time warp to avoid that. It's fine without the time warp. So you might have to just be patient. Now you guys don't, because y'all be able to see it fast forward, but yeah, you just gotta be patient with it. Alright, so one more thing to give you as a piece of advice, or a couple more things. You need to keep a look at your electric charge, because with the electric charge, you can't deploy your parachutes. And if you can't deploy your parachutes, you might as well be Val without parachutes up in orbit, right? So don't let your electric charge go away. If you're at a safe speed, which we are, or velocity, which we are right now, then if your electric charge is going out, then hit those parachutes and just go ahead and let them deploy. I always like to deploy around, depending on my speed, like on a slow descent like this, I'm going to wait till about 2,500. Now, some people would say that 5,000 is better. And probably is better, but I'm impatient. In real life, you would do it way more earlier than this, but this is when I do it just for the sake of not slowing my craft down too quickly. Okay, now it's going to deploy at 1,000 meters. So you definitely want to do it at 2,500 is the lowest altitude I would really do it at. You know, more realistically, you do it at 10, 7, 5, maybe 5. All right, Valentina and all her science are back. I call that a success. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Hey, you know, at this point, if you're liking the videos you're watching, subscribe to my channel. It helps me out, and I really would appreciate it. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.